it is seamless to move between these realms.
And that's the key point. That's the key point, is the seamlessness. Because when you think about the gaming experiences, the entertainment experiences that are starting to emerge as being the thought leaders and leaving everyone else in the past, as soon as we bridge the ability to do everything you can do in your normal life in the metaverse, which I feel like we're really close, and then augment from there, that is king. That the internet of behaviors and your ability to live in the metaverse is actually king, and the content sort of fills in as it needs to. Right. It's not actually the thing that you hang your hat on.
All right, we are back with another Off the Record on the Rocks with my good friend, Mr. Ankarino Lara. I'm coming back from 4 days of on location, bridging virtual worlds and physical worlds in Austin. We got a lot to cover. I think last episode we left it off with another delay from Grand Theft Auto. I am following everything that's happening with the Kalshi, DraftKings leaving the American Gaming Association. We've got giant news coming from Saudi, big investments. Seems like it might be related to the gaming world, and yet another Grand Theft Auto major delay, which is where we're going to pick it up from. How's it going on the West Coast?
You know, I'm off the record on the rocks. I feel like I'm off my rocker at the moment because we've had, since our last chat, it's just been a steady and slow decline of markets across the boards at a time when we've been, promoted this news that we're at an all-time high in our stock market and everything is moving, and hey, look, the government shutdown is going to end, and there's all these bright signals. But here at OTR, you know that when you see blood in the streets over and over and over again, you know that there's a fix that's in. Michael Saylor is buying untold amounts of Bitcoin right now. His quote is, "There's some volatility in the market. You have to know this." And I've just been buying it every day the whole way down because it's about to turn around in a crazy way. As you know, you gotta, the news and the rumor sometimes are now almost becoming one, because of the rate at which we're getting this information sent to us. So yeah, it's been a pretty exciting if you're into accumulating cryptocurrencies out here.
Yeah, I think that's right. The vibe to me is, yes, we're coming off all-time highs. I think we talked about they're gonna end the government shutdown and everyone's gonna feel good going into Thanksgiving. What it actually feels like is they're squeezing in here about a 2 to 3 week time where those Black Friday deals are available online a little early. You know what I mean? Like that used to just be a single day event, but now you can get a Black Friday deal starting now. It's on sale leading up to what I think will be and continue to be that feel-good moment, because you've literally got the Crown Prince in the White House today talking about a $1 billion investment. Oh, excuse me, $1 trillion. Now we got to start talking in T's.
Yeah.
With the B, even I could see the look on your face. You're like, billion? That's nothing.
But billion was one investment. Like one thing, and then there's a whole litany of them. But yeah, I mean, it's MBS. MBS is running around the White House, and there's going to be kicking up a lot of dirt. There's going to be a lot of dust in the air until it settles. And a lot of money's going to shake out of it.
Yeah, and there's two things here that I think will get us to this Grand Theft Auto delay that we can cover off on. But I think for a long time now, the Saudi investment fund has been buying up gaming with their giant investment in EA Sports and Madden, and the investment that they're putting into production and studio. You've been hearing these rumors over the last week or so about the purchase of Warner Brothers. So talk about needing to own what you create and own the narrative and own the media. The idea, the content, I mean, who better than Warner Brothers? And we're going to let the Saudi investment firm buy up this media. I mean, that coupled with this push into these prediction markets as told by DraftKings, and we've been talking about Polymarket for more than a year now. That's the future. That's where it's going. You're going to build these metaverses. They're going to look like multiplayer games. You're going to be able to bet on the games. And Roblox is over here at the same time being like, oh shit, we better make sure we know if somebody's an adult or not. And now they're doing the same thing we saw Sam Altman do and Apple try to do with optic recognition and face scans to know whether you're a human, to now make some educated guess about the player's age. And that was the most interesting piece of that to me, is like, they're not asking you to just type in your birth date. Like, that's no longer good enough. It's like, we're going to take a picture and we're going to scan to make sure likely that you're a human, that this is not a synthetically generated avatar of a
Yeah.
kid, that it's an actual kid. And we're going to guess your age, at least to know that people of similar age are able to chat with one another. And that, to me, is where the good folks at Rockstar Games were like, oh shit, we got to do that too before we can roll out this game. We got to go back to the lab, guys. We didn't build that in for the November 2025 release. We're going to need at least another 12 months to do all that.
Well, and when you think of, yeah, and so there's a lot there. There's a lot there. But like, let's just rewind for a second what you said. So we got the Saudi Arabian giants putting money into, and what's been revealed is not just EA Sports, but pretty much every popular game company and franchise that you could rattle off, from NFL sports games to the Battlefield, real-time modern warfare games, to fighting games, to Nintendo Mario Kart games, like on down the list. It's pretty much any kind of content that's in the gaming realm they're going to get behind, which is, and as you said, major media companies. So there was a period of time when Japanese investors were the ones buying up massive amounts of real estate in American products, whether it was Suntory acquiring Jim Beam and all the whiskey bourbon brands, to buying Rockefeller Plaza and these bastions of American entertainment and media. We're seeing the exact same thing play out again, only this time the players have a whole lot more money and are in the good graces of the current administration, right? I mean, there was a period of time when MBS wouldn't be invited to the White House because of his Khashoggi interactions, when that was the reporter who was sort of famously murdered on audio.
He addressed it today. I don't know if you saw it, but they straight up addressed it today. And
what did they say?
He claimed he didn't know about it, and things happen. And Trump actively defended him against the ABC reporter who asked the question.
Well, of course. He's like, release the Epstein files. I didn't know anything about it either. It's like, who knew about what when? Sure. But you put all of that into play. And then the backdrop there, too, is like, okay, we have all of this new technology that's coming. And the amount of money that's being invested in all these companies is starting to manifest itself in certain areas. Like when you see the new technology out of Roblox, or where you're trying to look at facial scans and try to determine people's age, right? First, it's, well, we want to make sure they can chat with each other. But then, like what we were teasing with the gambling aspect, or the predictive market betting, let's not call it gambling. That's a dirty word. Predictive market betting. That's something that's not dirty, but it would also be nice to know, hey, is this person an adult? Can this person be betting money in a virtual environment? Are they 21 years old? What state are they in? If they're in this state, because we can easily geofence you with your IP, is there a different age that you're allowed to do predictive market betting versus California or Nevada or whatever it is? And then if you can start to approximate that, yeah, guys like Rockstar who are on these 5 to 10 year development cycles, where adding an extra year of delay is not adding 50% of development time. It's adding like 5 or 10% because they're on these insane timelines. Then they're always going to be behind. Like, this is the part we were joking last time. It's like, okay, what are they going to delay it? If by how long? And then the answer was, oh yeah, they're going to delay it big time, and they're going to delay it by a full year for, quote, polish. We're just going to polish this thing. It's like, no, you're going to go and throw out fundamental sections of it and bring in new stuff, because in a 5-year window, when you first started drawing Miami for the second time, the remix of GTA Vice City, which is now, what, 20 years old? I'm trying to remember when that came out. This is decades ago. So we're remixing this 20 years later. And hey guys, hang on a second. In the last 5 years, you were heads down doing textures of the water for the boat chase scene. These crazy mofos over here just rolled out in-game wagering on this app and on this thing, and they're using the iPhone's face recognition to do this, and all these things that a simple software manufacturer of a game on a Blu-ray disc could never have ever imagined. And so I think we're going to start to see that money coming in from Saudis. You're going to see guys like Roblox aligning themselves with guys like DraftKings. I mean, those two names are going to be said in the same breath. And everyone else who is a traditional EA Sports, Take-Two Interactive, Nintendo, etc., is going to realize, oh my God, we are so far behind when it comes to the community of gaming versus the gaming itself. That's the bridge that has to be crossed. That's the divide.
Look, I feel like we collectively have called this over and over. It is just continuing to show itself in a multitude of ways. I think a couple episodes ago we talked about this reverse merger with the Currency Group, with the reverse merger with Animoca Brands. They're just coming at this problem from the other direction. They solved the on-chain, always on marketplace and an interactive world in a low fidelity Roblox style, but they built in all of the transaction capabilities. And now they're reverse merging with Currency, the equivalent of a wire service, to be able to transact money across borders. They're coming at it from the other direction. And the other one, when you talked about Saudi and all the gaming environments that they bought up, one of the ones that I had not remembered, but this they have a big investment in Savvy Games, which acquired Monopoly Go, or which made Monopoly Go, and Scopely itself bought out the Pokemon Go developer, which was Niantic, the augmented reality creation. So there's this whole other side of mergers and acquisitions and reverse mergers and new spin-offs and new investments here from Saudi, and now delays in Rockstar Games to put out Grand Theft Auto. It is all about this second layer, this metaverse, this additional world. And maybe that's a great segue into what Meta is now doing with UFC and giving Bullet Valentina the new Oakley sports style glasses, so that when she goes into the UFC fighting arena, you can now get her view. They didn't do that this weekend.
First person versus third person.
You could be in the game. It's in the game.
Yeah, but what you're saying is exactly true, is that we're in real time seeing the sea change. And I think that there's something to be dissected here. We can do it live, but the brand used to control everything, right? I can tell you I've worked with so many CEOs who loved saying content is king. Right? You've heard this so many times, but we've come to this weird gap, this weird divide where the statement content is king is actually false. That content is what powers some amount of interest and can draw people in, but the behavior of the gamer, the behavior of us as humans with technology has fundamentally changed, because our expectation of how interconnected and what the feature set should be actually takes precedent over the content itself, right? You talked about Roblox and its low fidelity, right? What's Rockstar doing? We'll just use Rockstar as the foil for all these comparisons. Roblox is low fidelity. What's Rockstar doing? Unbelievable high fidelity, trying to get to an 8K screen to show you the little bits of dirt that flip onto your windshield when you're driving through the mud scene or what have you. What are these other games like Scopely and Niantic doing? They're saying, hey, you're in the real world, and you have this powerful device in your pocket, and your ability to be in the real world actually improves your ability to be in the metaverse, to be in the game environment. The platform improves the gaming experience. It makes the content better, right? What's Rockstar's answer to that? Oh, we have to hire a team of guys to code so that when your cell phone rings in the game, that you hear it ringing through your PlayStation controller. Like, that's the nut they're trying to crack. But everyone has a controller in their pocket. It's a smartphone. And so to just be so blind to that. And then the third thing is, what's the actual behavior of the people in the environment? Well, they want to be in an internet connected environment at all times. The idea of a single player experience doesn't match to the metaverse. The metaverse, by definition, is a multiplayer experience. So bringing it back around to Oakley's and the Bullet, it's that even just watching the fight, the content is the fight, but the experience and the behavior is everything else around it. And that starts with being able to hit a button and say, I want to go to first person. I want to go to third person. Now I want to bring in my friend. I want to change everything. I want to be the person who is actually experiencing this fight in the way that I want to be, which is something that for all the modes and all the things, because remember, they delayed the first time at GTA. They delayed the first time specifically for the reason that they wanted to add a toggle to go from third person to first person. That caused the first delay of however many months. And now the second delay is God knows what, but at least probably one of those things we just described, which is if you're not getting, who has a 80-inch flat screen that they can see all the pixels anymore? What kid has the ability to sit for 10 hours and do that? You can do that all day long at the bus stop. And you just do not want it to be 8K because you won't even be able to see anything on your phone.
Just think everything you just described is this further narrative of the blurring of the real world and the digital world. And I tell my kids this all the time now, which is we're going to need to know which world we're in. You're going to need to know the difference between IRL and the gaming world, because not just from the concept of generative AI, now I'm taking one lens back and I could show you something fake that is going to look unbelievably photorealistic in 8K, but I'm telling you it was artificially generated. But to you as the viewer, you can't tell. That's one view. And then I need to step back another view from that to be able to watch the thing inside the game be a mirror, maybe a black mirror of the real world. But we're gonna need to, the saying of touch grass in Web3 of like, know when you're coming out of the metaverse to the physical world is going to continue to get digitized in this way. The layer is going to look through the lens of a meta glass. It's going to look through the lens of this Zoom live stream that we're doing, through the FaceTime that we do with our families. It is seamless to move between these realms.
And that's the key point. That's the key point, is the seamlessness. Because when you think about the gaming experiences, the entertainment experiences that are starting to emerge as being the thought leaders and leaving everyone else in the past, right? There's so many tropes of old gaming, right? I have to have a custom platform. I have to have a custom controller in my hand. I have to install the physical disc, all these things that are used to be the hallmarks of gaming, right? I got a cartridge, I put it in my Nintendo, I blow on it first, turn it on, and here's Legend of Zelda, right? And now we're sitting in the rain, my friends over, and taking turns handing the controller around to each person as they take their try at, fighting Ganon. But the seamlessness is that now the expectation, the behavior is, well, everything that I can do in real life, I should be able to reach through the black mirror and do in the metaverse. Not only that, but I should be able to go do more through that. But I should at least be able to do everything I'm doing in real life. And then I step into the metaverse and then I can even do more. So think about that for 1 second, because every console video game starts with you not being able to do hardly anything that you can do in real life. And you can only do what's happening in the game as it's been written by the developers. But the new format, these new games, from the Robloxes to the Nintendo, the Pokemon Goes, is no, I am in real life and it's on demand. I can tap a button and ping my friend because in real life I can. I can pull up my camera and interact because in real life I can. I can move cryptocurrency into a wallet and make a predictive bet in this game about who's going to win because I can in real life on TV on when the NFL plays on Sunday and make the same bet in real life. There's the seamlessness. It's like as soon as we bridge the ability to do everything you can do in your normal life in the metaverse, which I feel like we're really close, and then augment from there, that is king. That the internet of behaviors and your ability to live in the metaverse is actually king, and the content sort of fills in as it needs to. It's not actually the thing that you hang your hat on.
In the internet of behaviors, humans can do anything. And there's nothing different, what I just said, without the digital world. But if I want to be able to do anything that humans have been able to do for a millennia, that we've done in the entire history of humankind, I have to replicate it in my digital life in order to be able to do anything across these different metaverses.
And all these companies that are creating new behaviors for humans to do almost have to instantly, in real time, make it available in the metaverse. Whatever you're comfortable doing in real life, and if there's a new thing that's invented tomorrow, well, it's going to need to be, there needs to be a mirror version of it the day after tomorrow.
It
so that you can
exist in real life if it doesn't exist in the metaverse as well.
And that is the ultimate tail wagging the dog, is that it's running in a circle. You can't tell who's chasing who. And that's the fundamental problem that all these antiquated game studios have realized. So the best thing that could happen, honestly, to Take-Two right now is that MBS could just drop $30 billion into their lap and just hit the accelerate button and say, guys, you're so far behind. Will you please just hurry up and get this game to a standard that when it comes out, that you're not just laughed off of the internet, because the speed with which development is happening in the current metaverse. I'll tell you what's not the metaverse is a Blu-ray disc that I'm going to get sent in the mail in November of next year. That's not the metaverse.
Yeah, you're exactly right. It does feel a little bit like well, they need the chips, and there was discussion about the AI chips and the authentication, or the giving permission to ship advanced AI chips now into Saudi. I think that is part of this whole metaverse environment, that you are going to need that compute power in order to replicate the real world in this digital realm. And we need the digital realm if we're going to create some kind of overlay over the physical world that we can transact in any of our made up currencies that we want to make up, and buy and sell and have economies.
And who else better to do that than a country that has more oil and more gold than they know what to do with? And they're going to need to start funding AI colos, just gigantic computer colos buried deep in the ground, because how else are we going to power this metaverse? We're going to need co-location facilities around the world, not just out of AWS Oregon and AWS Virginia. Like, it can't be on the east and west coast.
Outages over the last, maybe 4 weeks. There was the giant AWS outage. Today,
Cloudflare, yeah. I saw
big
that
outage. We have not spent enough time actually digging in on these, but those are that's the war being waged in the metaverse, which is, okay, y'all, big money over here, y'all are going to go and invest in these gaming platforms, but guess what, XYZ China country is going to take down your servers in the metaverse and destroy your entire digital economy over here, at least for the day.
I mean, these are for sure test shots over the bow. Alarm bells should be going off. I mean, obviously, no one wants to be Chicken Little, but there was a time, when everyone with great confidence talked about the FANG companies with 2 A's in there, right? And the FANG companies would run the web, right? If you're getting some bits and some bytes, it's coming from Facebook, or it's coming from Apple, or it's coming from Amazon, it's coming from Netflix, it's coming from Google. FANG. That can't sustain a global metaverse. If the entire world wants to exist in the metaverse, not just the United States and our gaming population of 150 million people, no, the whole world. This is the signals that are saying, well, this needs to be now distributed. You need to have a blockchain. You need to have a blockchain model for throughput, for just pure broadband. I mean, look, let's bring it back to another kind of metaverse moment, where if everything in real life has to have its metaverse counterpart, it doesn't ever end, right? Because it's going to be really hard over time to get to where you've finished that job, right? It's just industry by industry, new innovation by new innovation. It's going to take, you're always catching up on some level. But I found it really fascinating that when we talked about a couple of days ago, that kind of in a 1-2 punch, the dinosaur Jamie Dimon out of JP Morgan did a 1-2 where, if you're getting squeezed and pushed, and people are asking, like, well, how come JP Morgan isn't embracing, digital in the metaverse? How come you're not part of Apple's savings plan? How come your guy out there just keeps talking about how terrorists and human traffickers are using Bitcoin and crypto, and these are horrible stores of wealth and savings and value? How are you guys going to evolve? And then, literally, as if he woke up after being visited by 3 spirits over the night, the ghost of banking's past, banking's present, and banking's future. And they said, sir, you're going to create a stablecoin to do all of your transaction layer of changes of value. What's it called? It's called the not JUSD. It's the
looking it up right now.
There's a
JP
state.
Morgan to allow clients to pledge Bitcoin and Ether. So he was
Well,
visited by
that's the second part. The first part is there's a stable coin that you'll be using to settle transactions. That's a JP Morgan owned stable coin that I want to say is pegged to the American dollar. That was the first. That was the spirit of the ghost of banking present. Then the ghost of banking future
JPM
said,
coin.
JPM coin, and banking future said, there are all of these customers that you have who have Bitcoin and have Ethereum, and you've just exposed them to the spot ETF versions of those. Now it's time to allow them to draw fiat loans collateralized by their crypto holdings, because in theory, if Ethereum can be printed as much as possible whenever Vitalik Buterin and his team decides to, then that means if JP Morgan allows you to take loans off of Ethereum, then there is an infinite amount of money that JP Morgan can fabricate out of thin air. And he woke up and went straight to the big red phone and picked it up and said, guys, we're open for business in the metaverse. Because now when I'm playing my next game and I need to put a settlement layer for my new Roblox account, and I can just add my JP Morgan banking wire and routing credentials, because why should that be only allowed to be done by Wells Fargo and Bank of America? JP Morgan starts to then tread into that retail space and suddenly becomes relevant.
I mean, this is
that to me was a huge story.
I am looking on jpmorgan.com and reading an article, What to Know About Stablecoins. And literally the key takeaways, it starts with, this is the awful sentence, clearly ChatGPT wrote this, a stablecoin is essentially a cryptocurrency designed to maintain a stable value relative to a certain asset. That is the definition that they give of a stablecoin. And then right after it, it says, JP Morgan Global Research projects the stablecoin market could hit 500 to 750 billion in the coming years. That sounds like almost as much as Saudi was giving us today, doesn't it?
It sounds like almost as much as Elon Musk and Sam Altman's compensation packages. But that's exactly, so that article, that is the product of being visited by some serious spirits. JP Morgan saw the shallow grave. He saw the Grim Reaper pull his coat. He saw want and neglect crying at his feet and said, what am I doing? Why are we holding back this wave of water that the youth is just pouring on us, saying, no, we are going to find a way to generate value in the metaverse. And that is one of those mental leaps that, I mean, look, if JP Morgan can make it, I think everyone's going to follow suit. And what we're going to see now is, when you look at the environments, MBS is not a dummy. He knows that more actual value is going to be transacted in video games by the end of the decade than in traditional stock markets. Like, there are all these statistics that show stuff like that. When you start throwing out the numbers of the amount of Robux that'll be bought and sold, the amount of V-Bucks for this, and you add up all the different digital currencies in these games, which are not any different, right, than any cryptocurrency really is. It's just this credit, this token. And once you tokenize all of the behavior of youth, every Gen Alpha and Gen Z, now their behavior is tokenized and there's a value ascribed to it. And now you start talking about, well, how do you monetize eyeballs in the old internet version of that saying? Because we have to monetize the number of ads we show. It's like, no. We're actually going to be scanning your eyeballs, because unlike fingerprints that don't change as you age, your irises and your eyeballs and your optic nerves do age over time. And so with the right kind of AI lens looking at your face, we can know how old you are, because your face may be changed, augmented, or enhanced, either surgically or digitally, but your eyeballs tell the whole story. The windows to your soul? No, sir. The windows to your digital wallet. And MBS knows exactly what he's doing, and so does JP Morgan. I'm telling you, this is the beginning, the second half of the decade. Once January 1 hits and we're on the downhill in the 2020s, I think that the notion of value and transaction, just the idea of it, is blurred between in real life and the metaverse, 100%.
One of the things I'm trying to scramble looking for this story, because I can't find it specifically, but the ISO 2022 the full FedNow update is now in effect. So talk about the government shutdown. Maybe that's what was actually happening behind the scenes, that the FedNow service has now gone into effect. And what that gets at is that the speed of these transactions and basically these secure payment communication vehicles, this new ISO 2022, payment system, can move, instead of $1 million on per communication, it can go to 10 million per communication. That is a 10x increase in the throughput of digital dollars. So we need to move trillions, numbers we've never even heard of. We're just now starting to roll out the T's here on the show. We've moved on from the B's pretty damn quick. We're going to need about a text increase in throughput. Thank God FedNow is finally online. I think there is the JP Morgan, there's the other visit he got, which is, okay, guys, you ready? Okay, I've stalled long enough. Okay, pet rocks long enough. It's here, guys. We got to go. The government's reopening. Okay, new FedNow. We can now move this cash. We can actually accept $1 trillion from Saudi Arabia. We can physically or digitally accept that amount of money quickly. Like, how many days does it take if you can transact $10 million every second? How many seconds do you need to move $1 trillion? ChatGPT, give me the answer. But that is 100. It's 10 times faster than it was yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, that's exactly it. When you're talking about the scale of investment and the fact that MBS does not drive up with a dump truck full of cash or gold or oil or anything, like when you're talking about the numbers we're talking about, there was a time in our lifetime when money was handed in a check or whatever it was, and then you would go and deposit. There's ways to get the money there. But when you're talking billions and trillions, to upgrade these systems is imperative. And especially we've talked about this many times on the show. It's an often used quote, maybe it's overused, but new technologies are generally moved forward by a couple of key factors, right? People talk about pornography and they talk about video games. These are the things that in this 1980s batteries not included and forward world, those are the two triggers, the two industries. And what we're seeing play out right now is that exact pattern. In the case of gaming, it is 100% going to be the driver. And because gaming as a concept has evolved from the weird nerd who's alone in the room, sitting there staring at blank television, computer, whatever, it's now moved to the UFC fighter who is wearing the goggles, who is taking real-time user-generated content of what it's like to be in a training arena and then what it's like to be backstage and getting hyped, has just also finished playing herself in a video game on a console just to get pumped and then to go play it. That there is, NFL players talk about this all the time. They play themselves in NFL games in the locker room to get pumped. Like to because the moves, they can see themselves in a third person, because the NFL players
angle changes.
Only can see the world out of a first person, whereas the entire world sort of knows them as an avatar. Is an experience that they don't have the benefit of exploring and experiencing. So that blending, Saudi Arabian money, the banks deciding that they want to get ready so they can be involved in gaming, Roblox deciding that they don't want any more child predatory lawsuits, and so we're going to make sure we can figure out the age of whoever it is who's playing the game. To this one other story that's out of in a similar vein is that now, even to take it to Netflix for 1 second here as we wrap, now the Netflix, the metaverse of content, is saying it isn't enough. We need to bring an in real life experience component to this. We need to have a Disney Parks and Resorts layer on top of our content, because content isn't king. We need our content in environments that influence human behavior. So I sent this to you, but just in Philadelphia, there's an entire place called the Netflix House where you can go into full immersive environments for everything from K-pop Demon Hunters to Squid Games to everything in between. And they just acquired in New Jersey an entire derelict army base.
Right.
And they're converting it to this huge studio that's supposed to be done by 2028 to basically work on and create new experiences that are around their content. And so when you see someone like Netflix put their flag up and say, hey, we recognize content is not king anymore. We have to do something more to create a metaverse experience around it, blend the seamlessly in real life to that. That's another huge indicator to me that all these things this week happening right now, like you're saying, post-government shutdown, everything we just said, is all careening us to the second half of the decade where by 2030, we are going to, that singularity is going to begin to happen. It's going to be very difficult to pull your digital self away from your physical self and vice versa.
This is Off the Record on the Rocks, November 18th, 2025. We are 121 episodes in. We have been calling it. This was a deep dive on gaming, but I hope we can play this back in 2030 and smile that we see it coming. It's not financial advice, but the fix is in, and we just laid out the map at least through the next 4 years of how this is going to play, and the deck is out there. It is fairly clear to me. The path has been paved, and it feels like it's just this last little Black Friday sale before everybody, especially Americans, are feeling good heading into the holidays. We'll have to leave it there. Final thoughts?
If we get that stimulus check 3.0 just in time for Black Friday, I'm going to put it all into crypto. So hopefully in 5 years when we listen to this, we'll still be able to buy a bag or two, and maybe GTA 6 will finally have come out by then. Talk to you next time, man.
We'll do it again. Peace.